Hey, this is Manly with verticallessons.com. I have a massive breakthrough to share with you in this video that helped me accomplish two of the most significant mountain climbs I've done in my life this year, and also some major breakthroughs in business. I've learned that I have to lean into the S word, the dark side of success, the suffering it takes to have the success. What I've realized is that your relationship with suffering actually sets the stage for success or failure. And it's something that we don't nearly spend the amount of time that we should anticipating and expecting and preparing for it, and then having a strategy to deal with it, which I'm going to give you in this video, so that when we get in that grind, whether it's a physical goal for health or a work goal or project or something in your personal life, it sounds great. Like right now, it's December, you're planning the big goals perhaps that you're going to tackle in 2025. But I want to encourage you to spend more time focusing on the dark side, the suffering piece, and preparing for that and training your mental fitness so that you can deal with that and overcome it instead of giving up, middle of January or whatever that is. So first I want to share where this came from, then the strategy, and then I'm going to share a great little story with my two sons about how this impacted me this year in my personal life. So here's the background on this. So you may be surprised by this, but the truth is I have not ever been a really engaged aerobic athlete or someone who likes to train or a fitness nut at all. As a matter of fact, I resist exercise. Traditionally, I still do, as much as anybody. And so this worked fine, over the years, but now I turned 50 a few years ago, and I moved out to Colorado in 2020. And my son and I were out in the mountains one day, and he says, "Dad," I got into my little whining loop, I'm sure, like, "Oh, I don't really like the aerobic part," or "This is not fun," and can't wait till we get to whatever else of the experience that was going to be more fun, like skiing down the hill instead of going up, or climbing and getting on the top. I don't know. I don't remember the exact moment. We were probably just hiking up a steep approach trail. And my son said, "Dad, look," Manly 3 said, "Look, Dad, you're getting older and I'm getting stronger. So you keep working this loop and spiraling in this loop of suffering in your head, because your relationship with suffering it sucks. You keep getting drawn into it." And I feel like it's every time we encounter this moment in anything that's difficult in life, we come to a little mental fork in the road. And if we get caught in that loop that my son called me out on, we can spiral down into that and eventually probably give up, or at least have a miserable time during the experience. Or we can interrupt the loop, which is what he encouraged me to do. He said, "You want to get stronger and enjoy the mountains more with me? You got to change this loop in your head." So I said, "I'm in." He said, "I can help you do it. Let's do it." Which is funny because it's a lot of the same things I've taught people over the years, and him now he's teaching me. It's kind of fun when the young student becomes the teacher, and the old student teacher becomes the student in this case. So humbling, but it was powerful. Here's the strategy that we came up with, and we started using this in little training moments when I would feel a little bit of the aerobic burn or suffering, for me in this case a physical goal, of just instead of getting in that loop and being miserable, expecting it. So there's 3 key words you need to remember in the strategy you're going to need to embrace the suffering when it occurs and when you become aware of it. Of course, you have to be aware of it first of all. That's the first key. Noticing, okay, I'm in the loop of suffering. The first word I want you to remember is drop. I want you to think about, literally physically, imagine you're dropping this thought. You have the thought pop up, you see it, you grab it, and you say, "No, I'm not dealing with that right now." That breaks the loop of suffering. The next word I want you to remember after drop is to remember. And so remember is about remembering that you are expecting this to be the case, right? Remind yourself, of course this is difficult. Of course I'm miserable right now. Of course this part of the job or the project's no fun. Exactly. It's hard. That's what hard things are. They're moments when we have to grind through and just keep pushing, right? So when you remind yourself, it changes that expectation in your brain, and it's really powerful. It's such a simple idea, but I'm telling you, this is super powerful. Reminding yourself, of course, I'm not feeling good right now. This is how how it goes, right? The third word you need to remember is to connect, and this is really powerful. Connecting that feeling of not a good feeling, or the grind, or the misery of it, or the suffering. Connect that to the summit or the outcome that you're trying to pursue. I've spent decades of my life teaching people, coaching, and really with some powerful results, anticipating what the project, the outcome, the goal, how that's going to feel, and why that's going to be worth it, which is definitely worth it, right? So definitely focus on that. But this is the really surprising moment, was that when we actually attached the suffering piece to the summit as well, in that moment, we start to build a relationship and we realize, okay, this feeling of that's not comfortable is not something to avoid, but this is a feeling that's going to lead to this outcome that I have in my mind and this goal. And it shifts it in a very powerful way and reframes it so that you can get restarted and start elevating and breaking out of that loop. So again, the three words are drop the thought, the negative loop you're in. Remember or remind yourself that of course this is the way it feels, it's a grind. And then third one is to connect it to that outcome or that summit you're aiming for. So this all culminated in two amazing climbs this year for me. In May, my son and I climbed El Capitan again together. And then in August, on August 19th, my son, Manly version 3.0, and my son-in-love, Owen, you see us or the two guys here in the photo here. My son-in-law, Owen there in the sitting back, and my son Manly 3 in the foreground there. We backpacked up to Rocky Mountain National Park to climb the Diamond on Long's Peak. I'd never done a 14er in Colorado, and my son had never hiked one or done one either. And I really wanted to do my first 14er in Colorado via a really technical route. So the Diamond is a sheer face on the side of sheer vertical face, about 12 to 1,400 feet tall, and the summit is 14,229 feet, I believe. So you're low on oxygen. It's very technical, relatively. You have to have the right equipment, all that, to do it safely. So, a lot of suffering is going to be in store. Just getting up the hill to where we were camping was full of suffering. And then we get there, of course, and we're eating food out of a bag. And, in this case, I've trained myself pretty well on this loop already. I never even let myself get into the loop. As soon as a thought presents, oh, this isn't really that yummy, I drop the thought. No, of course. And then I remind myself, of course it's not. We're in the mountains. It's about the mountains. It's not about dinner. It's about being in a special place. It's part of the journey, right? And then connecting even the food we're eating to the outcome that we're aiming for, the summit sitting up there behind us. So, in addition to that, we hop into our little two-person tent with three of us, and the guys, Manly and Owen, are like, yeah, this is going to be tight, Dad. No, don't worry about it. Spent a lot more time up in the mountains in Nepal, jammed in with three guys. It's worth it. We're here, and we had a ball. We just made that and approached that with, of course, it's going to be tight in here. It's not going to be comfortable. This is not a king-size bed, and we're not at home. We're in the mountains in a beautiful place. So again, seeing that awareness, dropping it, and then reminding ourselves that this is what it's about. Of course, this is part of the grind, connecting it to that outcome we're wanting to accomplish, which is climbing the mountain. So then we get to get up the next morning, way before. By the way, I'm not a 4 a.m. club guy. I'm not a 5 a.m. club guy. I don't love getting up early in the morning, and believe me, when it's freezing cold out, it's 4 a.m., you don't want to get out of that little tent. All of a sudden it becomes a really wonderful cocoon, but we grinded it out, got up so that we could see the sunrise on the face and start our descent down to the base of the wall so we could begin our climb up the sheer face to the summit. So check out this little footage here. My son Manly rappelling into below the wall there. Beautiful sunrise. It was just a glorious moment in the morning there.
Wow. What's up, baby? Look up here.
Once we make our way down there to the base, we made our climb, started our climb up that sheer face, right at the dead center of that face. A very, very difficult climbing, quite steep for me. And it's not, one of the more moderate ways to go up that face, but still very, very challenging, physically challenging, mentally challenging. Of course, again, the whole time I'm reminding myself, catching it, dropping the loop. Yep. Again, here I am. Of course it sucks. This is not the fun part. The summit's going to be great though, in connecting that grind with the summit experience. So along the way, we actually met a couple that was struggling. They really weren't quite as prepared as they probably wanted to be, and they asked for some assistance. We slowed ourselves down to help them to the top of the mountain, which was rewarding and worth it, even though it did delay our summit till after dark. But we got to see the moonrise, got to celebrate the summit with our new friends Alex and June, and then make this long descent back down to base camp. We get back to base camp, by the way, for the first time in my entire life, when I could barely hold it together the entire descent, several hours. I felt like I was going to get sick. And I get back to base camp and start throwing up and rolling around on the ground. And you're talking about suffering. It was absolutely miserable. But even in that moment, I promise you, this strategy worked. And I was just focusing on the summit and the experience and just being present with it and letting it all pass through me, as miserable as it was, so that we could then wake up the next morning and celebrate on our exit backpack back out of the park in this case. So this works. I'm telling you, it's incredibly powerful what you can do if you can shift and focus more on that suffering, even though it's not fun, but it's definitely an important part of the equation. I never really understood how critically important it is. So I hope this is helpful for you. I believe if you're willing to embrace suffering as an essential part of your success, that you can reframe how you encounter and how you handle that suffering, and you can set yourself up to completely elevate your success. It's something really powerful, I promise you. So give it a try, and please share this with anyone in your life you think it would be helpful, or comment, reply back in an email if you have any questions or is there any way I can serve you. I appreciate you checking out the video. Thank you so much. Happy New Year, happy holidays to you and your family as well. I hope 2025 and the years ahead are your best years ever. Thank you.